report today at the Conservative Political Action Conference. The Friday is just concluded with Nigel Farage speaking today with Merissa Hamilton. She's a libertarian activist, and she's been fighting the scourge of pedophiles and pedo enablers in the Libertarian Party. Great to have you with us today. And just go on a little bit about your background as a libertarian.
Sure.
Build the context.
So I joined the party in 2016. I attended the Libertarian National Convention for the first time then. I had been told to check out Austin Peterson, and I was looking for a new party. And I didn't like the direction the Republican Party was going in at the time, and just wanted to see what it was all about. And I was pleased with what I saw with Austin Peterson's campaign and meeting some of the folks, so I decided to get involved at that point.
Okay, cool. And when did you encounter people advocating for child sex in the party?
Sure. So a little bit more about my background. Right after I came back from the convention, I ran for U.S. Senate as a write-in candidate for the Libertarian Party on the platform of defending children from violence. So that's something that's been my position for a long time. That's how I started off. I found out that we had this issue around the Roy Moore incident with the Republican Party. And there was people on my page that weren't arguing that they didn't believe the accusations against Roy Moore. They were arguing that if the accusations were true, that so what? That it should be permissible for him to be an aged adult having sexual relations or sexual contact with children under 16. I found out that I wasn't arguing or debating with Republicans. I was debating with libertarians. And that kind of happened around like October, November, December timeframe. I looked at the Radical Caucus platform, since they hold most of what the original Libertarian Party platform was, and I saw that their sexual relationship platform said consenting individuals instead of adults. I made an issue of that and asked them why, because their children's rights platform shows a distinction between children and adulthood and gives a path to that, and I contested that it should say adults or adulthood or reference the same language, and they submitted that it was individuals on purpose.
Okay. And yeah, it's one thing if there's a small amount of kooks or crackpots within a party who are advocating something wild. You'll probably find that in Republican, Democrat, Green,
Sure.
any party. But when the party leadership starts espousing those views, that's when you can see it becoming problematic. And
Right.
you got into it with the vice chair,
Right.
Arvin Vohra, I believe
Yeah.
that's his name, over this issue. And what was he posting on Facebook publicly regarding child sex?
So it was January 10th or 11th, and he had shared a post from someone else that said, basically, age of consent laws should be abolished. And then he started making comparisons between two adult homosexual males, comparing the morality of that versus aged adults, a 25-year-old having sex with a 14-year-old. And he kept continuing on with that comparison for several hours, going to the extent of saying that any children under 16 should be able to have sex with adults should be able to have sex with anyone under the age of 16 if they want. He was asked if he would have sex with someone that was 14 because he's in his late 30s or early 40s. And he said, no, but that's not the point. He said, probably not, but that's not the point. He wouldn't clearly state he wouldn't have sex with a 14-year-old. And it just got worse and worse and worse from there with what and I asked him to clarify, and I told him that my position is children can't consent. And I told him he was supporting force and he was supporting aggression against children, and he disagreed with me. He believes that children can consent, and fundamentally, I think he doesn't understand what consent means.
Okay, and I understand that the presidential candidate, potential presidential contender in 2020, Adam Kokesh, has called out this vice chair candidate, and that's how
Yes.
I became acquainted with you, is seeing what Kokesh had said about the issue. So can you speak to what Kokesh's opinions are?
Sure. So Arvin was trying to make the position that him being a radical and an anarchist is why he was taking this position. And I've considered myself a voluntarist, and I disputed that fact. So I reached out to Adam Kokesh and said, hey, you're a radical anarchist. What's your position on this? And he said, yeah, I absolutely don't support that. But initially he said he wasn't going to get involved in the issue. He thought about it though, and after he announced his run for president and shortly got arrested after that, his first statement out of jail was a strong declaration against this. And he called both Arvin Borja, pro-pedophiles, and Nick Sarwark, the chairman of the Libertarian Party, pro-pedo, for remaining silent on it and refusing to speak against it, and instead posting a double entendre about Tide Pods and 14-year-olds being able to consent to Tide Pods, and government shouldn't be involved in that.
Very bizarre.
Yeah, very bizarre. Some people accused him of saying that meant that he was saying that 14-year-olds should be able to consent to sex with aged adults, but he never confirmed or denied it. He did, at the Arizona Libertarian Party convention, contest a resolution. It was a simple resolution that said the Arizona Libertarian Party, first it said, does not condone sexual exploitation of children, hebephilia, or pedophilia, and they changed, and people in the party asked for it to be changed to say condemns, and Nicholas Sarwark stood up against that and made an issue saying that we shouldn't pass it, that it was unnecessary and ridiculous, and his contention was, have the Republicans passed this or not? And the Republicans are actually the ones that had crafted it for their own party resolution. And so then he insisted, well, did they pass it though? As if they didn't pass it, then that means we shouldn't pass it. And then he didn't vote on it eventually. Once it came to a vote, he stayed silent.
Okay, and I understand that there was a groundswell of pushback against party leadership. Can you speak to is there any grassroots Libertarian Party members that you see speaking out against this, trying to root this out of the party?
Yeah, absolutely. There has been a groundswell of support against it, but there's also been a groundswell of support for it too. But the Libertarian members of the party, the grassroots, took action immediately. I spoke to Nick's staff, his campaign manager, and he said we'd have to rally 2/3 of the states. So that's before he would do anything about it. So I proceeded to do that. He also said to look at the policy, so I submitted a complaint against that, a formal complaint, so we'd have to get an official response. We had 30 candidates rally to write a joint letter today, together asking for condemnation of it. We had a lot of libertarians submit letters and emails to the LNC condemning it, asking for him to be removed, and we had, I think, about a dozen, somewhere between 10 to 15 states that called for him to resign or be removed.
Okay, and so there is a bit of a groundswell on that, but I believe you've received some serious pushback for making an issue out of this and bringing it up and rallying people against these pro-pedophile attitudes. So what negative consequences have you received as part of your activism?
Oh my gosh. So the chair himself didn't call me out directly, but in reference to the fact that I decided to delay my campaign finance report for my formal bid for governor in Arizona, he posted on his official page something against being late on your campaign finance report. He commented on someone that had wrote Hamilton for governor in a post. He replied back to it with a link to Amazon called Everybody Poops. I've had been threatened by some of the libertarians, harassed by some of the libertarians. I had my Facebook page hacked and shut down from being able to run ads twice. I had my Facebook profile hacked with a post uploaded to it that then caused that they simultaneously flagged so that the page would get my profile would get shut down. I've had my computer hacked. I've gotten threatening, spoofed phone calls to me using Adam Kokesh's number with little clips of Adam Kokesh threatening, basically him talking about being silent, and so it was a threat for me to stay silent on the issue. And eventually the Libertarian Party in Arizona threatened to not allow me to attend the convention, even though I was a state committeeman. They asked me not to attend, and they demanded my resignation if I didn't sit down and have a conversation with the people that were basically bullying my page constantly with slander and lies. I was falsely accused of fraud after I stepped down. It's been nonstop craziness.
But another thing to make the issue that this is more than just leadership being tone deaf or leadership being arrogant. This is actually something that is being harbored within the party. And I think the case of the fundraiser, Dan Thompson, that really shows that this isn't just just a handful of leaders being arrogant, being tone deaf, being stuck in their ways. This is actually something that's being harbored in the party. So would you talk about the fundraiser and the documentarian Dan Thompson and how what role he's playing in the party, what he's done?
And to be clear, they did push to have a vote against Arvin. They did not end up removing him. Only half of the LNC voted to remove him. The other half didn't. They did eventually censure him, but it was kind of a weak censure, and he's already violated it, promoting aged adults having sex with kids since then. And the LNC council ruled that his position was not offensive, and it also was not inconsistent with the platform, as in his statements are supported by the Libertarian Party platform. So when it came to Danny Thompson, we found out, I actually found this out from people within the LNC staff, that Danny Thompson was a convicted sexual predator. He had been convicted of having sex with two 14-year-old girls. He actually allegedly paid them to have sex. And he allegedly was running a porn ring for that was said to be of teenagers. And he wasn't ever tried on that, so we don't know if he got convicted of that or not. But he ended up pleading out, doing a plea deal, so that his business partner, who was younger than him, 24, versus him being 30, would take the hit on the charges. By the way, while he was doing all this, he was running a Pure Flix, I think is what the company was called, or Clean Flix or something like that, which was supposed to be like an alternative to Netflix with just family-friendly movies.
Bizarre.
Very bizarre. So I posted the event that he basically is the one that created the I Am Gary Johnson movie project, and he was the one that was running. His company was putting on the fundraiser for it, and I posted, once I got the information, I spent several hours, at least 6 hours, researching it to verify that the information was accurate, and I posted his public criminal history record, which had more than just that. He had also had some other issues with theft and other violent acts. So I have to look on my page, and then as well as the news articles, his mugshot, comparing him to what he looks like today versus what his mugshot was, confirming that it was his identity.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and I did see some websites that were trying to post a picture of his cohort in the porno operation, the underage porn operation. They showed his cohort. It's like, oh, that's clearly not him.
Right.
When in the news story, the next mugshot next to him is the guy. It's Daniel Thompson, and looks almost just like him.
Right.
10 years later. So this seems to be a very strange push from people who are connected to the Libertarian Party to sweep this under the rug or make it acceptable.
Yeah, and I sent information to one of the writers at the Libertarian Vindicator, and I also posted on that story that was false information, that I had verified the source and the identity of this guy, and that everything lined up.
Yes.
But they refused to remove the story, and they've continued to perpetuate this lie that that's not the guy.
Absolutely. It's very strange developments going on in the Libertarian Party. And are you still involved in the Libertarian Party? You still consider yourself an activist? Are you still working to clean up the party, or have you thrown in the towel and said enough is enough and you don't want to associate with this anymore?
So yes and no. I don't want to associate with it anymore. However, I don't want any party to be a safe haven for child predators. Mm-hmm. I think it needs to be clear that this is not the first incident the Libertarian Party has had with this. Back in 2008, Mary Ruart ran for president, and I was told, I haven't researched this, that somehow she supported that it should be okay for children to be in porn or something like that. That there was also a problem with the California Libertarian Party having some issue with being involved with pedophiles. There was another issue in Nevada where they had people that were convicted pedophiles on their board that was reported in the news. This is not a one-time incident. So I don't want any party to be a safe haven for the Libertarian Party. I do consider myself philosophically still a libertarian, but I maintain that the non-aggression principle, and that it's an act of violence for aged adults to have sex with children of any age. I don't support that at all. I am working to have them have better leadership. But right now I am registered as an independent, and I'm not a member of the party, although I have not removed my national membership, so technically it still exists.
Okay, well, anything else would you like to add to the viewing public regarding this issue or anything else?
Yeah, I just wanted to go on the record that, I was fully supportive of the party. There were some issues I had with leadership. There was contentions I had with them seeming to now support socialism or welcome it into the party. But I was committed to moving forward on strong principles of liberty and economic freedom. I was running for governor of Arizona, and all of that, I shut all of that down because I'm a strong advocate for children's rights and their rights to not be violated. And it's been an unfortunate incident, and I hope that the party changes its ways, finds new leadership, and rids itself so that it no longer has any room to support any type of violence against children, any type of aged adults having sex with kids. We should not have any party that's a safe haven for pedophilia.
Absolutely, and well, thank you for all the work that you've done. Definitely keep us up to date on any of this pro-pedophilia in the Libertarian Party or any other party. I'd definitely love to hear from you on that, and thank you for all that you've done.
Sure, thank you so much.